Hello, as you can see, I'm here with my partner Quincy, and today we are putting together a Walstad tank in this 2-gallon anchor hocking jar. So here in this bucket you can see I have Miracle-Gro dirt potting soil. It's soaked for over 48 hours. It's recommended 24 hours, but I went ahead and did a little extra, and here I put it in here. Now there was a lot of water even after I drained it, so it's very soupy, so be prepared for that. It's recommended about 2 inches of dirt and then 1 inch of gravel or a really loose sand cap. But as you can see here, that was like a lot of the excess water, very soupy. I used that mug to kind of drain it out and put the first layer in and flatten it out, try to make it some more smooth, and you can see the consistency here. So I was inspired by Lisa at KG Tropicals to do this bowl or this jar after I saw her video with Diane Walstad, and I actually ordered the book, and here you can see me pulling out some of the bigger chunks of wood. I would recommend you do that. And this was a method I've never tried before, so I plan on putting shrimp in here. It is only 2 gallons, so I wouldn't recommend putting anything else in here, but cherry shrimp should do well in here. I ordered plants from boostplants.com, and I've always had great success with them, but I have to admit, and this is not knocking them, the plants that arrived are not great quality. I blame myself more than them, and here's why. It's the Christmas season, and so a lot of these plants just weren't looking great. I got a variety. I got some Bacopa, some Dwarf Sage. What I was really looking forward to, yeah, the water wisteria looked terrible, I'm going to be honest, but we're going to try it. The Elodia is what I really was excited about, and that's because Diane Walstad in her book talks a lot about Elodia and how it's good at filtering, so that's the one, and it came in looking great. So as you can see, this is how a lot of it came in, and what I'm doing is I'm putting them in hydrogen peroxide for a very short dip, like no longer than a minute and a half. Now here you can see me ready to plant the first Elodia stem into the soil, and you're gonna see the first problem I run into, and that's that it doesn't really stick in there well. It just kind of laid down, and I was like, oh no. So I took it out. I took out the excess water. I know it was supposed to be soupy, and I actually went ahead and used this time to put plant tabs. I also dosed with Aquarium Co-op. Technically this goes into Father Fish territory, but I figured I would dose it a little bit. This is the sand I bought, and it was already loaded. I went ahead and decided to go ahead and cap using half of that bag, because I knew half that bag would be about that inch cap that I needed, but there needed to be something firmer in there. And one thing to warn you about that soil is, even though it is they load it with bacteria, which is good for the tank, it's very wet, and it's going to cause some fogginess issues that you're going to see later. But now the plants are able to actually stand up. I'm able to keep them in place in the aquarium. Walstad recommends that you put the sand or gravel afterwards, but like this wasn't an option for me. As you can see, like it was not going in. So it might work for you, it might not. This is what it looked like after most of it had been planted. I pulled some plants from my home aquarium too. In there I have a crypt in there, and I have some dwarf baby tears in there as well. So we shall see. Now this is me putting water in. Now you notice I'm not just going to dump it in, and I have a piece of plastic from the shipping bag in there. I'm using that to baffle the water flow, because if I just dump it in there, it's going to make everything more super cloudy. It might even disrupt the sand to the point where the soil starts raising up. That sand cap is supposed to keep the soil down. You're going to see some pieces still make their way through, probably just from the planting process. But that's the real big purpose of the sand cap, and to slow the nutrients from being released into the water column. But as you can see, I take my time here. I'm going very slow as I'm putting this water in. And as I'm doing it, I'm seeing that cloudiness. Now, if you're using sand on your own, you should really, and yeah, you can see it here a lot. You should wash the sand, but the sand you're not supposed to wash. But in turn, that caused some cloudiness that I deal with the next day. But this is what the tank looks like when it's done. It doesn't look wonderful, to be honest, but that's because these plants just got in. Now, one thing that I'm doing a little different is for a very short time, I did go ahead and put an air stone in, and I use Aquarium Co-op's nano pump. Now, initially I bought this nano pump because I thought it'd be easy to hang, but the jar lid is too thick for it. So as you can see, oh my goodness, that's a lot of bubbles. I don't want that, but I don't have a thing to slow it down. So what I did was I tied the tube in a knot to slow the airflow. It's a little trick, and it works a little bit. I decided to only let the air bubbler run for like one night to help kind of settle things and oxygenate the tank. Now Diane Walstad said that any light will do, so I decided to take her up on this method. We're gonna see. I literally bought one of the cheapest nano lights on Amazon. It's like an off-brand from China, as you can see. And the clip doesn't even work well. In fact, later you'll see me, I just laid across. But now the tank's looking pretty good. Already you can see things are settling. There's my electric blue Acara. They decided to surprise me with some fry. That's been a whole drama side story. You can follow me more on that. Not been thrilled with that, but I decided to take a break from things and just show them off a little bit. And as you can see here, this was my TikTok. This was not supposed to happen. They were supposed to be males. Obviously one of them's a female. But anyway, let's get back to the tank. So this is the next morning after I've taken some of the water out. Now Lisa recommended doing some water changes early on, so that's what I'm doing. I'm adding more water in. Now again, treat this like an aquarium. So I did put prime in. I did put some nitrifying bacteria in, some stability to try to settle things. At this point I still have the air stone running, but now this is what the tank looks like the next morning. I have put in floating plants. I have salvinia and one frog bit. I don't want the frog bit to stay in there, but for now it's there to suck out the excess nutrients. The idea is that this tank will be self-sustaining over time, but right now it's definitely not. I'm gonna have to do water changes. I'm just taking a cup, not touching the soil at all, and taking like the top 20% and just changing it out. I'll probably do another water change today. And there you go. You can see I have the light laying across at this point. I wouldn't keep the lid on there because I would suffocate things, but I may just lay the lid across. And that's my tank.